Let's stick with the Southern African region because South Africa has gone for a total of 150 days without electricity shutdown. And that's quite some good news. And thanks to those deep reforms in the power sector being pursued by the troubled power utility giant Eskom, as well as the various interventions being led out by the Minister of Electricity, Mr. Ramaphosa. But the continent's most advanced economy is not out of the woods yet in terms of the African agenda on just energy transition. And this is an excerpt from today's JET conference held in Johannesburg with the Electricity Minister and the President of the Republic of South Africa in attendance.
Today we are here, the President is hosting again this conversation, but now the focus is on its implications on municipalities and municipal spaces. I'm making this point just to illustrate that the intention by the President is to ensure that we democratize the conversation. We are able to nuance it and give it South African characteristics. So it's not a conversation for smoke-filled boardrooms, but it's got local traction. And the best way of ensuring that we are able to domesticate this conversation is to have a discussion with the local government leaders and practitioners. And that's why we are assembled in the manner that we are today, for us to be able to broaden that conversation. We do accept that at an international level, the issue of just transition, the energy complex, as they define it, seeks to address a trilemma. First of energy access, and it's got two components. It's availability, and we know now the manifestations of that availability in the South African context is a new issue of what we call load reduction. So there are hours in the day where multitudes of our people, households, don't have access to electricity as a result of load reduction. And that manifests itself downstream of the electricity value chain at the municipal level. So this conversation must help us to confront that question and see how best we can resolve it. The second component of energy access is that of affordability. Electricity prices have increased about 600% since 2006. That situation is untenable, has got a disproportionate impact on the poor. And that's why the President has occasioned this conversation, so that we are able to get it from, as it were, the horse's mouth, so that as we fashion a South African version of what we mean by just energy transition, is able to take account of all these questions. The second anchor of that trilemma is the issue of energy security, our ability to meet the future demand, allow the economy to grow, whilst making businesses competitive, and also ensuring that low-income households have access to affordable energy, electricity, and the rest of us have got electricity that is cost-reflective.
As the world changes, and it is changing, our reliance on fossil fuels to industrialize poses a significant risk for our country. It poses threats to our economy, our society, and our environment if we do not drive the energy transition in ways that are appropriate to our national and local circumstances. Many of South Africa's main trading partners are taking measures to achieve net zero within certain time frames. And those partners, and some of whom even have companies that are located here, already go public as they boast that we have now reached net zero emissions, even as we produce the goods that we are peddling around. And that puts pressure on us. This has implications for South African goods and products entering these markets, as we've come to know. Because for as long as we ourselves don't embark on this journey, as we produce our goods with fossil-intensive energy, when they reach their destination or their market, they will impose tariffs on us and therefore making our goods uncompetitive. It does also have implications for our economic competitiveness, as I said. Just as we continue to oppose unilateral and cohesive carbon adjustment measures by developed countries, we realize ourselves the need to reduce our own reliance on carbon-intensive energy production. We do see the need to diversify our energy to grow our economy. There are great prospects ahead if our country takes advantage of the global energy transition to support our own economic growth and development, more particularly employment creation. As a signatory to the Paris Agreement, South Africa is committed to contributing its own fair share to the global climate change effort. We must pursue this commitment in a way that delivers just outcomes for those affected by the energy transitions. And those are our people. We must pursue it in a way that contributes to inclusive economic growth, to energy security, as Minister Ramaphosa was saying, and ultimately to ensure that as we transit, our people are not left behind, and that we create employment. And we must do so at a pace as well as at a scale and cost that is consistent with our country's social and economic development path. But what is certain is that we've got to embark on this journey. Our integrated resource plan sets out a viable energy mix over the medium and long term to achieve our decarbonization objectives. We have a successful renewable energy independent power producer procurement program, and this program has attracted well over 200 billion rand in investment, and it has added much needed capacity to our electricity grid. At a time when Eskom was facing and continues to face enormous challenges, the regulatory changes we introduced in 2021 to increase the licensing threshold for generation projects has resulted in a pipeline of over 130 confirmed projects. This amounts to approximately 22,000 megawatts of capacity with an estimated investment value of some 390 billion rand. Now, this is an enormous amount of money which you don't pick up in the street at any given time. And that is why it's wonderful to have financiers and investors here at this conference. And it is for this reason that I said I could smell money as I walked in, because this speaks to the amount of money that is going to be needed for this project to go ahead. Municipalities, therefore, are central to our efforts to decarbonize the energy sector. Municipalities own and operate approximately half of South Africa's electricity distribution grid, and they facilitate universal access to electricity. 165 municipalities are electricity service providers themselves. Through the Independent National Electrification Program grant, municipalities are responsible also for addressing the electrification backlog. Municipalities, therefore, need to be in the driving seat when it comes to providing clean, affordable energy to communities, to businesses, and to industries that operate in their localities.